Sonic 1 is a good game, but it isn't as good as Sonic 2. And neither are as good as Sonic 3.
And Knuckles.
Level design wise, both Sonic 2 and 3 are pretty much on par in my opinion, but there were some number of quality of life changes that elevate Sonic 3, featuring Knuckles from the Sonic the Hedgehog series above Sonic 2. Allow me to talk about a few of them. I'll start with what I believe to be are the biggest of the small changes. The inclusion of the 3 elemental shields, the Flame Shield, Water Shield, and Lightning Shield. Veterans of Sonic 3 Blood on the Knuckles probably realize I'm missing the shield, but don't worry, I'll get to the Insta-Shield later. In Sonic 2, you have just the one boring old regular shield. It'll take a hit for you, but not much else. But in Sonic 3, with musical accompaniment by Knuckles the Echidna, the shields are much more varied. All of them, with the exception of the Insta-Shield, allow you to take an extra hit, alongside some added abilities. While in the air, if you press one of Sonic's many jump buttons, you can get the Flame Shield to dash forward in whatever direction Sonic is facing. Or use the Water Shield to bounce Sonic down on the ground. Last but not least is the Lightning Shield, which gives Sonic a second jump. This is my favorite of the 3. It's just so useful for getting to places that are hard to reach or course correction, etc, etc. These 3 shields also have other benefits and drawbacks befitting to their elemental nature, but despite the drawbacks, I believe whatever the elemental shields take away from the game is far outweighed by what they give. Now, before moving on, there's one more shield that needs to be talked about, and it's arguably the most important of them all, despite not being a conventional Sonic power-up. I told you I'd get back to the Insta-Shield. This was most likely added because of the selection of characters at your disposal in Sonic Part 3 Stardust Knuckles. With Tails being able to fly and Knuckles being able to glide and climb walls, the OG was looking a little bland by comparison. Much like the other characters' abilities in the elemental shields, by hitting a jump button while Sonic is in the air, he will create a small white flash around himself. This ability allows Sonic to damage enemies without having to touch them. He has to get close, sure, maybe even too close. But this ability, if used right, can allow Sonic to keep rolling around at the speed of sound, instead of just getting your ass handed to you by the likes of those weird circle dudes shielded by the spike balls. What the fuck is their name? Oh, Orbinaut. Alright, yeah, this looks like them. Well, no one has to see this, we can just fix this in post. It raises that ever-elusive skill ceiling, while keeping the skill floor in the same place. Nice going, guys. Where did it all go so wrong?
That's great.
Another improvement that puts Sonic 3, Knuckles and Tribulations above Sonic 2 are the end act bosses. And I'm not talking about the battles at the end of the final act of a zone with Eggman, also known as Robotnik, if you can't let go of the past. No, I'm talking about the bosses you fight at the end of every Act 1 of a stage. Not only does this provide something fun to look forward to at the end of every level, but it allowed Sonic Team to branch out just a tiny bit from the somewhat tired every boss is Eggman formula that had been established thus far. Sure, most of the first act bosses are just robots, but you get some more unique fights out of the bosses from Sandopolis and Lava Reef. Sadly, this is pretty much Sandopolis' only saving grace. Obviously, too much of a good thing is a very real condition that a lot of games suffer from, but in this case, I find that the bosses of Sonic 3 Knuckles Awakening do not overstay their welcome. I'm finding it kinda hard to think of a natural transition between my last point and this one, but thankfully, Sonic 3 A Link to the Knuckles does not have this problem in the slightest. And while this is probably going to be one of the most nitpicky of all my points, I funnily enough feel very strong about this one. The transitions from act to act and zone to zone are done so well, you probably didn't even think anything of it your first time playing through the game. I know I didn't. If you don't know what I'm talking about, allow me to explain. Take, for example, the first level of the game, Angel Island Zone. Once you beat the cool boss of the act and let the goalpost fall to the ground, the result screen shows up and the typical end level fanfare plays. But instead of just fading to black and cutting to the next level, like in Sonic 2, the level immediately picks up where you left off. That would be cool enough as is, but that's not all. Because at the end of every zone, we're given in-universe explanations for how Sonic is somehow able to transition from a grassy ruins like Marble Garden to a bumpy nightmare funhouse like Carnival Night. Or how Sonic got from the best level in the game, Flying Battery, to the worst level in the game, Sandopolis. I don't know about you, but for me, this makes the levels and the world itself seem a lot bigger than the ones in Sonic 2, where all we got were disjointed fades to black and cuts to the next level. And honestly, I didn't really mind the Sonic 2 approach until I saw it done so much better in Sonic 3 KX. There is one thing I do mind about Sonic 2, however, and that's the special stages. Good god, I fucking hate these things so much. I imagine this will be the only point people won't mostly agree with me on, but I gotta say it. So in the Sonic 2 special stages, what you do is you run along a pseudo 3D half-pipe structure, dodging spiky mines and collecting a certain amount of rings to get a Chaos Emerald, which when you collect all of them allows you to become Super Sonic, defeat Frieza, and win the game. Good job, you're the best. I have a lot of problems with these stages. I find the pseudo 3D to be too disorienting, the amount of warning you're given for upcoming hazards frustratingly small, and the control to be painfully restricting. It's like Sonic is struggling against your every move. Not to mention, if you decide for whatever reason you want Tails to join you through your adventure in Sonic 2, you can pretty much kiss any chance of getting that Chaos Emerald goodbye, because Tails will join you during the special stages too, and assist you in grabbing rings. Sounds great, right? Well, yes, it sounds great, but once you actually go into a special stage with the Fox, you realize the terrible mistake you've made. Tails copies your exact moves on a slight delay, so not only do you have to watch out to make sure Sonic doesn't hit any hazards, but Tails too. I can't think of a worse feeling than the one when you're good to go to clear a level, only for Tails to get hit and your ring total dips just under the amount. This is why Goku took 50 episodes to get the name. So it's pretty obvious I don't care for the Sonic 2 special stages. But what about Sonic 3, Knuckles of the Rebellions? Well, they certainly change it up. The Blue Sphere minigame is likely the most unique and far out of all the special stages in the entire Sonic series, although this isn't too big an achievement considering they reused the half-pipe minigame more times than my Sonic 3 Knuckles joke. The goal of the Blue Sphere minigame is pretty easy to understand. Collect all the blue spheres in a level and you get a Chaos Emerald for your troubles. Make sure you avoid the red spheres though, as they will kick you out of the stage immediately. The Blue Sphere minigame is probably my favorite method of collecting the Chaos Emeralds for all the reasons I dislike the half-pipe minigame. First off, the faux 3D style of the levels. Unlike in Sonic 2, the Blue Sphere stages aren't hard to look at and pull off the style well. Second of all, you have much more warning that you're coming up to a hazard, since the only thing you have to truly stay away from is a telegraphed bright red. Honestly though, if there weren't fair warnings before you got hit by a hazard, these would probably be the worst special stages in the entire series. Hypotheticals aside, let's get back to my third point, the control. Sonic control is pretty good in Blue Sphere World Town. Being able to hop over hazards is a breeze, and Sonic turns on a dime. Admittedly, the world turning with Sonic is a little disorienting at first, but you get used to it, trust me. Blue Spheres, I love them. Please Sonic Mania, bring them back, thank you. There are a few other bonuses Sonic 3 and the Temple of Knuckles have over Sonic 2, such as the multitude of checkpoint bonus games, saving your game, and introducing fucking Knuckles. But I think I've made my point already. If you haven't played either of the games I've talked about in this video, give them a try. You might find Sonic 2 better than Sonic 3, for all I know. But hopefully I made my case well. Goodbye for now, until next time, whenever that is. Fuck Sandopolis.